So, as you know, this is the 5th week of our codicology, paleography, and text criticism class. And so the original program was how to identify a text in a manuscript and how to date a manuscript. And last time we were listening to presentations about Latin manuscripts. And today we will listen to 2 presentations about Ottoman manuscripts. And if there is still time, I will give a 3rd one about a very interesting inscription in South India, where paleography, dating, whatever, also come in as interesting questions. And the first presenter will be Reyhan Özkan. And please make the presentation.
Okay. Hi. Today, Giray and I are going to talk about some documents from Ottoman Empire. Yeah, reading Ottoman documents can sometimes be one of the main challenges in Ottoman historical research. But the difficulty is not only about recognizing letters. Understanding these texts also requires decoding the style of writing, the habits of the scribe, and the language of the period. These documents were not standardized, often written by several scribes, each with their own handwriting and style. So every document creates its own language. Reading Ottoman Turkish is not just a technical skill, it becomes an act of meaning making, in fact. Of course, we will only touch upon a few aspects today, since we don't have enough time for everything. And I know for many of you, this might be a new field, so please feel free to ask questions if anything sounds confusing. Let's start with some main factors that make reading these documents difficult. First, we have the diversity of writing styles. Ottoman documents were written in manuscripts. In fact, this is not unique to Ottoman Turkish, but common across all languages using Arabic letters. You can see a few basic styles on the slides. Each was used in different documents. I want to ask you something in that point. Can you guess from their form which ones were for everyday writing?
Probably those who are cursive. But Divani, maybe. No.
It's a good guess.
I think I know.
Which one?
Siyaka.
No. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I thought you will say Rika, so let's act like you said Rika. Yes.
So Rika is
Yeah.
what is this Siyaka? What is?
Yeah, I will explain every one of them. Yeah, Rika was, as you can see, simple and practical. Was used most often in daily correspondence, letters, and office work. A more elaborate and official style, Divani, was developed in the Ottoman court for fermans. Ferman means padishah's decisions, and imperial records. It became a visual symbol of state power. Talik, on the other hand, with its elegant and slanted lines, appeared mostly in poetic collections, literary works, and illuminated manuscripts. We see a lot of Persian manuscripts with Talik. Neti was neat and readable, used in Qurans, generally, manuscripts, and later in printed works. The oldest form, Kufi, with its angular shape, was used in early Qurans and architecture also. Finally, we have siyakat. Siyakat was a complex and secretive style used in financial records and text registers to ensure confidentiality. I'm not an expert in siyakat, so I don't know what this means, but yeah, mostly they have they are using a lot of symbols. I mean, all these have a lot of symbols, but siyakat has, I think, the most. Yeah, I add some examples from each, and first pictures from each one was written saying Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. It means in the name of God. No, in the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful. Muslims using that phrase when starting everything. So you can like compare these styles between them. And you can see these, and this one.
So I interrupt you because you asked me to.
Yeah, please.
Just a very small point. That Kufi script with which the earliest Qurans were being like written doesn't include. So none of them include any punctuation, right? There is no punctuation in the Arabic script when people used to write them in the medieval times. And the Kufi script didn't also have any basically dots, any
Diacritics. Diacritics.
yes, diacritics, yes. So in many ways, it was a very hard language to basically read if you were not already an expert in Arabic or Semitic languages. And that also became an issue in the period of the canonization of the Quran under the third caliph and after that. Some different people had some different issues over how they need to basically add vowels to the Quran and how they can add
Diacritics.
Yes, diacritics to it. Yeah, that's why in the last recent decades, for instance, we have thanks to the interdisciplinary researches, we have some people, some great scholars who came up with the idea of reading the earliest manuscript, Quranic manuscript, through the lens of other Semitic languages, for instance, through the lens of Syriac, and then see what that sentence could mean in Syriac, or how it can help us to understand various semantic layers of the Quran.
Me, I also intervene here. Once you mentioned Syriac, I see diacritic marks on that.
Yes,
There are two dots.
they are added. Yes.
These ones?
Yeah,
Yes.
And-
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
and they are just like the Syriac diacritic
Yes.
marks. And the Syriac diacritic marks were invented not at the beginning of the history of Syriac script, but later in order to distinguish, so to indicate vocalization and
Second challenge is the individual spelling habits of scribes. The same word could be written in different ways, even within like one record book. For example, in the court register, we will look at today, the word which appear into distinct forms, but still I'm not sure both of them are which, because I say this maybe is something, right?
No, but both of them are bad. You're right.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, the first one is veci teskile, and the second one is veci takdir, but still you can see the difference, like it has a dots beyond it, and this has yeah. The text might have been written by different people, but they could also be like by the same person. It could just be the same person who wrote one quickly and the other more slowly. We can be sure. The third issue is physical damage. Documents often became unreadable due to moisture, insect holes, or faded ink. On the slide, you can see example from the same register. Some are accidental ink stains made during writing. I think that's one. And the other is like insect holes and watermarks. The fourth challenge, and I think it's the biggest challenge, is the mixed language structure. Ottoman texts combine Turkish, Arabic, and Persian words. Arabic grammar mistakes, complex phrases, and language shifts are really common. For example, in the sentence from the same text, you can see how all three languages blends together. I will read first the English translation. The butcher, the son of Markova, is responsible for providing according to the Istanbul price regulations for both summer and winter, as recorded in the register. Kasap means the butcher, is Arabic. Please interrupt me if I say something wrong. Yani Arabic, bin Arabic, Markova name. Yaz should be Turkish. Ve Arabic, kış Turkish, Istanbul Turkish, nar Persian.
Arabic.
Is also Arabic, then it has no Persian. right? Okay. Üzra Turkish, Bulma Turkish, Multazim Arabic, Ulup Turkish, Sicil Arabic. There's no Persian? Okay, it's not.
A question.
Yeah, please.
The name of the chair.
Yeah, Markov.
Markova. Is it a Slavic name?
I'm not sure.
It sounds like Slavic.
It sounds like
It's
Slavic.
definitely not Muslim, but I'm not sure.
So that may be a Slavic Christian inhabitant
Mhm.
of Constantinople, Istanbul,
Mhm.
Constantinia. Okay, Constantinople.
Let's say Istanbul.
Istanbul. Okay. Sorry, I problem. And he was providing the meat for everyone.
Yeah. This part says Istanbul. Normally, this line, it is letter Elif. It can be E, A, O, U, I, all of them. It should be at the beginning, Istanbul. But sometimes scribes don't want to add it at the beginning, but middle of the words. Maybe you can say something.
So basically, you have alif, yes, in the Semitic languages, and you don't have vowels. You don't write down the vowels, okay? So it can go in three directions. This means O. This means as in Adam, yes. And this is E, as when we say pronounce air, yes. And the fourth form is when you, so in the beginning of a word, it has a hat, it is A. And when it's in the middle of the word or at the end of the word, there is no hat, again A. So one basically sign represents at least, it can represent four different things basically. And no vowels is written, so it makes it quite hard to read basically, right? Yes?
Yeah.
And you said about Istanbul, yes? How did she, okay. So when you want to write Istanbul, basically you write it like this, yes? First comes alif, then sin. So what the scribe did in this situation, and there is no rule for that basically. It could have been a mistake, it could have been lack of space for whatever reason, yeah? So he put the alif in the middle. Yes, that's what's happening, right?
Yeah, but in the middle of the second letter.
In the middle of the second, because if you take it anywhere else, it's gonna be totally unreadable.
But this is simply a ligature.
Yeah?
It's a ligature.
What is that?
That means that you write two letters as if they were one. This is very common in Arabic.
Yeah, but not for this. That doesn't happen usually. I mean, if somebody writes
an exceptional.
Yes, exceptional. But otherwise, you're right.
You have it in Syriac, you have it in Arabic, you have it in Greek and Latin. So this is what is called ligature.
All in all these factors make reading Ottoman documents more than a technical test. The researcher not only deciphers letters, but also tries to understand the bureaucratic language, mindset, and the writing culture of the period, unless you can't read. In this sense, reading becomes an act of interpretation, not just a transcription. I chose these documents because I'm interested in cultural history, and these records are the most detailed sources we have on everyday life in the Ottoman Empire. They include not only court decisions, but also a wide range of documents about marriage, divorce, inheritance, trade, debt, guarantees, price controls, and even slavery. In short, every social and economic relationship in an Ottoman town. But I should mention that these are not my research texts, and they are from a century I'm not too much familiar with. So you should know that my knowledge about them could be a little bit limited. The Qadi, or judge, was both a legal and administrative authority. Courts were not just legal institutions, they were the center of local governance. The Kadı, the judge, supervised markets, managed foundations, wakfs, and oversaw tax collection. Therefore, court register reflects not only legal cases, but also the administrative, economic, and social structure of a city. From the 16th century onwards, especially during Süleyman the Magnificent. Do you know Süleyman the Magnificent? I'm just wondering.
Since we are being in Vienna, have you heard the name?
Yeah. It's a sultan in Ottoman Empire. Okay. One of the famous.
Süleyman the Magnificent.
Yeah.
Sorry, I did not understand.
Yeah, sorry. During
Who died in Hungary?
yeah.
Under Szigetváry.
Yeah, you know from there. Okay.
Okay.
During his reign, these records were systematically kept and archived. The documents follow standard formulas and were transferred to new judges when offices changed. Similar patterns in different regions show that the empire maintained a shared legal language across its vast geography. As you can guess, for historians, court registers are invaluable, while state documents reflects the voice of high officials. These records let us hear ordinary people, artisans, peasants, widows, slaves, non-Muslims, all of them. Of course, we still read them through the perspective of the scribe. I mean, it can be seen as a problem. But still, they remain one of the richest sources for understanding social history. Today I will focus on one specific register, Üsküdar Court Register number 14. It's from the mid-16th century. It covers the years 1546 and 1549 during the reign of Süleyman. It consists of 84 folios written in black soot ink on abadi paper. I didn't know what abadi means. Do you know it? Because it's coming from, I think, Indian paper. Maybe you know. No.
Abadi in Persian means eternal.
Okay.
And these are the papers that I have never encountered in India.
Okay.
In South India, because this must have been very expensive papers. And the Christian communities with whose manuscripts I was dealing did not have access to such a expensive paper. So what they were using? They were using either Middle Eastern, so-called Oriental paper, or Italian paper, which was produced for the Middle East. And this is what you find in Indian Christian manuscripts. But it's very interesting that I have never encountered this, because it's sealed. It's something very expensive. But of course, in an imperial court, it's being used.
And also, I think in Central Asia, they've been producing paper for a couple of centuries based on some synthesis of different kinds of textile. And maybe this is also related to that.
It's in a long and narrow formats, as you can see, convenient for storage. But I took that information from Arash, so maybe he wanna explain us how it works.
Yeah, sure. So if you have a narrow register, if you have a wider register in terms of depth, length, no, not this is length, this is width, yes. So it's you need to occupy more space when you want to store them, basically, right? But if it is narrower, you add the volume to the height, basically. You wouldn't have much problem with the height. Yeah, you can store them in that way.
The register contains 653 records, 172 in Arabic and the rest in Turkish. The majority are debt and credit cases, but it also includes entries about more foundation revenue, sales, guarantees, and other stuff. From a paleographic point of view, it can be said that more than one scribe could work on the book, on the notebook. Some cases are neatly written, I think these ones. And some of them are more like heavily inked, for example, this one and this one. And there are some mistakes, as you can see. I'm not saying that I can differentiate how many scribes on it, but there are different styles. In the beginning of the these registers, there is no name for scribe. Generally, they're adding the judge's name, but no scribe's name.
So basically, there was a judge issuing a basically legal opinion judgment, and then there were a couple of assistants, writing them down. And because the assistants were not much important, their names were not being written down.
And linguistically, also the same variation appears, as you can see, some Arabic entries on it. I mean, maybe I'm saying as you can see, but no, maybe you can't. Okay, this one is Arabic, and this one could be Arabic, but I couldn't read at all. So, yeah, the other ones are all Turkish. Now, I want to focus on two particularly interesting examples from these registers. The first one is the estate reports of Yorgi bin Öksüz. I will read Turkish version first, then I will translate it if it's okay. It starts with says muhalefat, and I couldn't read until here. If you want to try from this part.
Okay, you keep going. Let me also figure it out if I can.
Okay. Yorgi bin Öksüz ve Tereke Selase Benin ve Erbate Benat ve Zevcemate fi Karyati Kadı fi Recep sene 953. These are numbers. 953. And these are lists. And firstly, I want to translate the first part. It says estate, muhalefat. Yorgi, son of Öksüz, who died in the village of Kadı, leaving behind 3 sons, 4 daughters, and a wife, recorded at the month of Recep, year 953. But it's a Hijri calendar, not Gregorian. That's why it's 900. It should be like, it's the 16th century document, yeah. About the property.
Was he called Yorgi?
Sorry?
What was his name?
Yorgi.
Yorgi?
Yeah.
So he was a Greek.
Yeah. The first part, ev ve yanında sığır dalı, as you can see, it's hard for me to read it. A house with an attached cattle shed and small garden, and it's written like their worth. It's 4,000 akçe. Akçe is Ottoman currency. And the second one is müşterek dolap bostanda, means vegetable garden. It's worth 200. These dots means 0. And the total amount of it, it's 6,569. What's written there is, what's this? Yeah, the judge's fee. Yeah, minha resmi kadı. Yeah, it's just 119, and other like rest of the money for Zevce, his wife, us, and the son of him, and the daughter of him.
The daughters also inherited.
Yeah. It's not the same with the sons, like half of it, right? Yeah.
And this the Ottoman law, which
kind of
prescribes it.
Islamic law.
Islamic.
It's Sharia.
So
Yeah.
it's Sharia law.
Okay, just let me add this, okay? Sharia is very unclear in many parts in the Quran. The tradition made it clear to the audience, okay? But much of it is the basic invention or the interpretation of the scholars coming later on, okay? One good example is hijab, yes, which is a controversial also matter. Laws about concerning hijab in the Quran are not very much clear, quite vague, yes, but it became quite central also in the legal interpretation of the text, and through tradition, it got different sorts of layers. Yes.
Thank you.
Do you have any question from this course? No? I can.
So I find it interesting that that the inheritance law, although apparently this is a Greek person, the inheritance law is according to the Muslim law.
Something to say, right? If it's an Ottoman citizen. Yeah. But they, non-Muslim have also their own laws. But I'm not sure why it's like work like that in that situation.
I think if they didn't have any specific law concerning that very case, they would have referred to the Sharia. So if there was a law within the Christian community, they would have followed that one for the Christians. Okay.
Or if perhaps if there was no will, or perhaps this is according to the will. Many things are possible.
Many things are possible, but if there was no determined will, testament, or of any kind, then they would have needed to follow some rules.
Yes, and that rule is the Sharia.
If there is no local Christian rule for the Christians who are coming to this case, yes, it goes with some.
Because all your examples are showing a very interesting way these community in the everyday life how they were using together the Slavic Christian culture, the Greek whose inheritance is regulated by the cardinal and so on. So it's very, I think it's very interesting.
That's why I chose this one. Yeah. And the second is a case about a man insulting a religious scholar. Yeah, I found it's really funny. After this insulting, he lost his faith and lost his marriage. Wow. And then renewing both. Okay. I will read it first and translation. Vehşi tahriri sicil budur ki Mustafa bin Abdullah ikrar edip dedi ki ben bir ehli ilme tahriften donsuz deyip ve badehi bu kafirler deyip şeram tecdidi iman getirip ve tecdidi nikah etmek üzere talep ile sicil olundu. Okay. According to the court, Mustafa, son of Abdullah, confessed, I mocked a scholar, calling him a man of learning with no treasures. Later, I went further and said, they are all infidels. As a result, the court ruled that he had to renew his faith and also renew his marriage vows, a full spiritual reset. Okay, two things here. Firstly, if you insult someone, if you insult a Muslim as a non-Muslim, you should renew your faith because it's forbidden to say that. But plus, if you're a non-Muslim, you can't marry a Muslim woman. So if you insult someone as a non-believer, you became a non-Muslim. That's why your marriage became like invalid. That's why he should have renew both of them. I found really funny that one.
I have one example just to add to yours. So this is mentioned by Iqbal Lahori, the Pakistani, basically, scholar, referring to the problems with the legal judgments in Islam. So saying this example as a kind of funny, ridiculous example. So there is no easy way for a woman to get divorced according to the law, unless the man, the husband has not really serious issues. Okay. So one of the strategies that some women could basically adopt for getting their divorce was to claim that they have changed their religion to another thing, like they became Christian for a couple of hours and then they return to Islam. And this causes, the cancellation of any kind of contract, including marriage, basically. And because for women, there is no punishment for changing religion, unlike for the men, they could easily come back to become a Muslim and then basically find another one.
They did not renew their marriage, and that was
indeed.
Okay. At the end of it, there are witness names. It's Mehmet bin Nebi and Hamza bin Veli. And you can see examples from the other Also, there are witness names at the end of it.
And there's a lot of Greek names, by the way, in this text.
Yeah,
Yes.
I wasn't aware of it, but
In Istanbul, very many Greeks were given.
But you won't see them in other manuscripts in that Greek versions. Another people's original names. Ottomans tend to change their names to Islamic interpreted. So Johannes means mean Ali in the text. They didn't use their original name most of the time.
Was it if they converted?
Yes, they converted.
And then they received a new name. But these people have not converted.
These are not converted. Yes.
lastly, I added a few sample examples, sample page from other Istanbul court registers. We won't talk about the contents, but if you want, you can.
So just very briefly, yeah, if you just compare, so this is obvious that it is written by one person, and that person is different from that copy.
Yeah.
That's right there. And this handwriting is far, far better than that one.
And
for reading.
they both are far, far better than.
Oh yes, this is a disaster.
Yeah. And as you can see, sometimes scribe will like prefer to put lines between entries,
Yes.
and sometimes it just chaos. Yeah, that's all for me today. If there's no question.
There should be.
Yeah.
So please ask a question.
Well, I was going to ask, on the other manuscripts we looked at, a lot of times they had the ruling lines to keep the script, but then we haven't really, this is the only like lines I guess we see, but that's division. So do other manuscripts use that tactic or not really in this?
Like having a
Yeah.
paper with lines on which
Yeah.
they can.
No.
Nothing.
No.
Yes, that's also one of the reasons why these, when you see these documents, they are not like all the time written on a very horizontal line. They may go upwards or downwards, but no, there was no line.
Like this one.
There is no ruling.
There is, but for writing,
No, ruling, because you use a light coin, for example, in the paper. This is used for literary manuscripts. But apparently these were just court records. They didn't really need so much cleaning. I think the important thing was to state the thing.
that is true. And also I think the professional scribes could, without having any kind of line or points or anything, they could just go out of doing it a lot. They could just go ahead very easily.
For example, this is a part of this entry, but it's completely different. I think it changed. Yeah.
You also mentioned that there are some Persian inscriptions, writings in the manuscripts. Are their number relatively small compared to Arabic and Turkish?
I think there's no whole Persian entries, but there are words coming
Okay.
from Persian. So
Uh-huh.
the thing is, I think Turkish, like combination of like Arabic, Persian, and Turkish, it becomes Ottoman Turkish, yeah. But more, how can you say, poetic
Yes.
words are coming from Persian. That's why in daily life maybe it's not.
Yeah, in this
often.
kind of scripts you won't see that
Yeah.
much Persian, but you can see poetry, art, and history, especially in the 15th century. They began to affected by the Persian,
Mhm.
but
So-
you won't see these kind of official documents much. Yeah.
So it is more in poetry.
Yes, true.
And also sometimes in the treaties, basically, because that's when also a king needs to address another king or prince, and then the scribe or the writer would like to show all of the art they can, because they basically it's a war of writing. Yes. So
May I say something here? So this is very important because in traditional societies, neither languages nor scripts are unique normally. So in an empire, for example, like the Ottoman Empire, you use different languages for different purposes. So apparently they considered Persian as the language of poetry, which it is, by the way. And they used Arabic for philosophy, for example.
Science?
So if you have even late Ottoman texts, the philosophical terms will be Arabic. We saw this last year.
Yeah.
And
Scientific language and it's Arabic.
Yeah.
That's true.
And for my research in India, the basic language is, of course, the vernacular Malayalam. But for this Christian community, which is a Syrian Christian community, Syriac is the sacred language. Then they will use a dialect now extinct, which is a mixture of Malayalam and Syriac. And then, as they are assimilating more to the main society, they are replacing gradually the Syriac with Sanskrit words, and so on. And they are using several scripts, because there is no such thing as Malayalam script. Originally, there was a Dravidian script, which was used also for other Dravidian languages, and then another script was used for Sanskrit. Then the script used for Sanskrit is South India, not the Devanagari. It was introduced to write Malayalam. The Muslims were writing in Arabic characters, and the Christians were writing in a mixture of Syriac and several local scripts. So the idea of one language, one script, it's a 19th century idea of nationalism.
Just to add to that, there are a lot of people. Sorry, this is your presentation, and I'm just jumping
No,
in.
please.
So there are many characters, but there is one of them whose name is Ibn Arab Shah. He was a very interesting character because he worked for the Mughals, in the court of the Mughals, Safavids, and the Ottomans, because he knew all of these three languages. He was expert on Arabic, Persian, and Ottoman Turkish. That's why everybody would love to pay him, basically, to hire him in the court, because that guy is useful, basically. Yes.
Okay. I don't know whether there are other questions, because we should also listen to Giray.
Yes.
And also, I want to, Arash helped us a lot. So thanks to him. Yeah.
Thanks to both of you.
Sorry?
Thanks to both of you.
Yeah.
Thank you.